Hello, and welcome to another week of This Week in Cars. I'm your host, Jaron Wong, and my co-host,
Justin Hong.
And this week, we don't have a big auto show or CES to cover, but we do still have a good amount of car news. And I would say, we should probably just dive right in then.
Yeah, I think the first one is the biggest, literally the biggest news of this
Physically
week.
largest,
Yeah.
literally.
The largest, which is Cadillac Escalade V. So this is pretty much a souped up version of the Escalade, which is, I think, the largest SUV that Cadillac makes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I mean, I know that Cadillac recently had their CTS 5V Blackwing, CTS 4V Blackwings, and those cars are kind of considered like a last hurrah for ICE cars for Cadillac. So I think them releasing this Escalade V is not only catching on to not only being like a last hurrah, but also as like a segue into their SUV performance market.
Yeah, so Cadillac said that they're not making any more V performance cars, but I guess the caveat is that they can make V SUVs.
I guess so. I mean, I believe it's using the same power plant from the CT5V, which is like a supercharged 6.2 liter V8. So we know that power plant is super potent. It's slightly detuned, but it's like still a crazy powerful 668 horsepower engine. Yeah,
which is definitely a lot. So like the normal Escalade today has a 420 horsepower. So we'll see around an extra 200 horsepower from that supercharger.
Yeah, and for the transmission, it's going to be mated to a 10-speed automatic gearbox. So imagine if they put a manual transmission in this.
Probably not. I mean, how many soccer moms know how to drive stick?
Yeah, but that's the whole point is to go to the excess, right? To the extreme levels of just like. Yeah, none of this makes any sense.
But
no soccer mom needs any of this.
Yeah, but soccer moms can't drive manual, right? They just,
okay.
The people who want this are the people who just want to excess, right?
Right.
But they're not the ones who are enthusiasts who know how to drive stick.
So, you're saying this came too late in a day and age where because of soccer moms that can't drive stick, we won't get a stick version of a Cadillac SUV.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the take rate's not going to be more than 5%, even if they did offer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have a expected MSRP for this?
No, I don't think we even have the exact technical specs today.
Yeah, we just know that it's a slightly detuned engine for that.
So I think the MSRP will come out with all the details. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. So maybe we'll see Cadillac make V versions of their other SUVs, like the XT4, 5, and 6. So this might just be the first V SUV.
So at this point, V is, well, we already know that V had been their performance line since I remember the CTS V from 2004, 2005. So if they start producing all these different variants, this is essentially the same as a AMG or a M division for Cadillac, right?
Yeah, but I think V used to mean something different. So V used to be their top of the line performance cars, like the CTS V, but now it seems that Blackwing is how they refer to their super sedans and such. And V is just, I guess, just a bigger engine, right? Yeah, so in terms of some other changes with a regular Escalade, I think we'll see some performance appearance packages, like a front splitter, you have a quad exhaust, a fake diffuser.
And don't forget the number of Vs they put on the car.
Yeah,
they got one on
V
both
badges
sides,
everywhere.
The rear, on the steering wheel. Because how else are you going to differentiate this from a normal Escalade? Yeah, I mean, the Escalade, I guess this is almost like a history lesson, but, it came out in, '98, and it kind of became the symbol of, American excess. You know, a lot of rappers love to use the Escalade in their music videos. I remember actually just recently I saw this Drake music video with a early model Escalade. So this is like top dog, and I think like I can expect this car to take place of like, you know, Cullinan's and other rapper cars. You know, this is gonna be like their status symbol.
Yeah, definitely. It's like excess of excess.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think from any of the reviews for the normal Escalade, like no one has said, oh, it needs more power.
Of course not. This thing like doesn't even corner as is, right?
Right.
So it's
imagine if it got like Magna Ride dampers and like track ready, because from the videos, you know, they make it really seem like you can race this thing, but obviously not.
And that's like every car commercial these days.
That's
like,
true.
You're gonna race your like Camry TRD.
Just like in the Throttle House opening for the IS 500 video, they like, you know, shook everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the way automotive marketing goes for these faux. I think it's faux performance. I mean, yes, it's very powerful, but it doesn't make any sense, you know.
It's kind of like the fake M and fake AMG. Like you get a bigger tune, some more horsepower, but you don't get all the M goodies or the AMG, like the whole deal with the hand-built engine and such.
So what's the chance we get like a Escalade V Blackwing? Probably
think it's
unlikely. That would be insane though. That'd be like, imagine if it's like a tune that's even more powerful than the CT5V Blackwing. Because you need it.
That would be insane, right?
Yeah,
but I don't
7.3 liters displacement.
I don't think they want to dilute the Blackwing like name already.
Yeah.
Maybe in a decade or two.
Probably. It's probably going to be electric.
Yeah, sadly.
Well, moving on to our next piece of news, which is the Porsche 911 Turbo S. We're starting to see reviews of the current model year, 2021. So this 911 is the 992 Turbo S. And from the car and driver test results, they're getting 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds, which is insane. Just like I didn't expect them to be able to be faster than their last generation, which was like 2.4 seconds, 0 to 60.
Yeah, so I think Porsche has really outdone themselves with this generation of 911. So what's kind of different with this new 911 that was tested is it's equipped with this lightweight package. So it's like a 10 grand package that basically tries to remove weight wherever you can. Like you have carbon bucket seats, lightweight glass. They take out some sound deadening, so it makes the car quite a bit louder apparently.
Which is a good thing. I mean,
yeah, but you know, this is like the 911 Turbo S. You're supposed to be able to daily this.
Sure.
So I think if you want this as a daily driver, it doesn't make sense, right? You don't want to spend 10 grand to make your car quite a bit louder for that extra, 0.1, 0.2 seconds?
But I think like most modern cars, our frame of reference for what is a loud car is much different than what it was like, 10 years, 20 years ago, right? Because of all these increased like, sound deadening, like body adhesives, like they've really made the car significantly quieter. So I feel like with the lightweight package, I assume it's really not that bad.
So what the car and driver said is that at wide open throttle, they recorded 101 decibels, which is about 10 decibels louder than the normal one.
Oh.
And that's a lot, because the decibel scale is logarithmic.
Right,
so it's like twice as much sound pressure. And I think 101's starting to get to the point where you can start getting hearing damage, like over a long period of time. So it actually sounds pretty insane. I'm sure like the GT3 with the naturally aspirated engine still sounds better. But I guess if you want your daily driver to be obnoxiously loud, then by all means go for this package.
Yeah, I think like the other thing is like it beats the Model S Plaid, and in just like the last couple episodes we have been talking about drag racing and how electric cars should be included. But the fact that this beats it out is, I think it's quite an accomplishment considering it's not electric.
Yeah, it's still a lot more expensive, and Yeah, I think like the Plaid, it's still crazy with how much horsepower it has. So this 911, it says it only has 640 horsepower, but based on all the performance data, I feel like these are some pretty fat German horses.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely underrated. I'd say it's probably making like at least 640 to the wheels, if not more.
Yeah, I think it's also like power to weight ratio, right? Because like the Tesla is like significantly heavier than this car. With the lightweight package, this car is only like 3,566 pounds. So
Yeah.
while the Plaid is pushing like 2 tons, over 2 tons, a lot more than 2 tons. So,
But this Turbo S is getting numbers close to the McLarens, which are much lighter, and they have like way over 700 horsepower. So.
right.
Yeah,
I think it's also like, you know, Porsche's launch control and PDK is like unrivaled. You know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like just incredible for what they can do with the kind of power, like the amount of power they have. They can do so much more than like other manufacturers. They've like really dialed in and perfected this technology.
Yeah, the launch control is really insane, and it has like you can do it over and over again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 992 911 Turbo S rings in at 215 grand, which, yeah, is not cheap. But, you know, I think for the performance you get for it, it's almost considered a bargain. You can definitely rationalize this. If you really need, like want the performance, like it makes sense. You can call it a bargain.
A 215 grand bargain.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, this kind of performance was like unimaginable, like even 10 years ago. I think it's just like we've taken for granted how much better cars have become for the price, you know.
Yeah.
Like I would say like 10 years ago, like Formula One cars, do you think they even broke 60 in 2.1?
I don't think Formula One cars even break 2.1 today. Like
Really?
They're kind of traction limited. Yeah, so they're pretty slow 0 to 60, but after it's where they really speed up.
Right.
Yeah, but 215 grand is a bargain compared to this 2005 Porsche Carrera GT that recently sold on Bring a Trailer.
Right. I mean, you know, this car, this auction broke a ton of records for online sales, bringing in $2 million. How much do you think that is in listing fees for Bring a Trailer?
Listing fees. I'm not familiar with how it works.
Yeah, so Bring a Trailer charges a listing
based?
fee. I think it's charged to the seller, I want to say.
I hope there's a cap on the percentage.
Yeah. Imagine if it's like 10% of the sale.
Oh, jeez.
That'd be like $200,000 for one listing for Bring a Trailer.
Yeah, so why do you think this one sold for $2 million? I think we recently saw another Carrera GT that sold for, I want to say about 1.8. But both of these are very low mileage examples. So this one only has 250 miles.
Yeah, that's less than the engine break-in, right?
Yeah, nothing's ever broken in. It's been in a climate-controlled garage.
Yeah. So the original car was delivered to Burt Smith International. Like, what, is that like a dealer?
I want to say yeah.
I don't know. Like, I get dealers have like, yeah, it's a dealer out in St. Petersburg, Florida, and like some, you know, dealers get these cars. We know, like, if you've seen Savage Geese's LFA video, that the LFA that they got to drive was owned by the dealer or the owner of the dealer. So I don't know if that's the same as this one, but this one, in this case of the Carrera GT, was owned by a dealer, and they even completed a service last year or this last January, which was an $18,000 service.
Do you even need a service when it's not been driven?
I would say, yeah, because in the engine, you know, you have like O-rings and stuff, and none of them are lubricated because of the fact the car just sits there, no oil's running through it, you know, so they start cracking and stuff. But you know, like if you buy this car, say you had $2 million to throw at it, would you drive it?
No, I'd keep it.
Right? And that's the thing. Like, this car will never be. It's just one of those examples where it's like, an example of a Carrera GT where it's never going to be driven. It's just going to be a museum showpiece forever.
Yeah, and I mean, you've seen what happens when it's been driven, like Paul Walker. I mean,
well, I blame that on drivability. That
and
guy
also
needed a driver mod.
probably needed new tires and yeah. So yeah, it's kind of sad that we'll just see this be tucked away in a garage forever.
You know, like, as we see these, you can't even really consider this one vintage. You know, like, this is a 17-year-old car. Like, my motorcycle's like about the same age, you know, and I don't consider that vintage. But as these cars start rising in value like this, to a point where, you know, it's better to just never drive them, it's like, it's unfortunate. But I think, you know, like, because of that, it encourages like this kind of behavior and like people stashing away cars and never driving it. And, you know, I think it's a waste, right?
Yeah.
But like, so I think when the Carrera GT came out, it was considered pretty special. It was already, they already knew this was going to be a future classic.
Oh yeah, they pretty much took like a racing engine and stuffed it into this carbon fiber tub. So it's more or less a race car.
Because there are only 1,200 examples.
Yeah.
Like, if you had enough money, like not everyone, but like a lot of people say, oh, you should just buy one to drive, buy one to keep. So
that's if you can find 2 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I were like if I had that kind of money, like in 2005, I probably would have just drove it. You know, I can't. I don't have that kind of self-control to just leave it in like a climate-controlled.
Yeah, and
storage.
So like originally, I think this was sold for $448,000. So we see it pretty much gained 1.5 million value over 17 years.
Does that beat inflation?
Yeah, it definitely beats inflation, but as an investment, I don't think it's that great.
No.
Yeah. So, and you have to keep this in the garage, climate controlled.
Yeah.
Do 20 grand services even though you don't drive it. So as purely as an investment, it's not the best, I'd say. But if you just want to, you know, keep something like this in your garage, look at it once in a while. If it makes you happy.
Maybe you can like sit in it too.
Yeah,
you just be like drinking your I don't know.
I guess
Dom Perignon.
you can start it up too, right?
Yeah,
you don't get
true.
miles from that. Yeah. So if it makes you happy, then and you have 2 million somewhere, then I think it makes sense.
I don't think it makes sense at all, but yeah.
I'm trying really hard to justify this.
Right. Fair enough. Well, speaking of ultra rare and hardly driven cars, you know, we got news that a Ferrari Enzo, which is one of 400 ever made, was crashed by a mechanic in the Netherlands. And yeah, we're reading from Car Throttle, and basically that the car it's like valued at about like 3.3 million, which is even higher than the Carrera GT, because of it's considered like 1 or 3 times as rare because there's only 400 of these. But apparently, like, because of the car's value, it's gonna be worth it to repair.
Probably, yeah. It's really hard to total something like this, or like the McLaren F1.
Right, yeah, like, I know for McLaren F1, there's 2 famous instances of someone crashing that. One is Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson. He totaled his, but then like they repaired it because it was worth so much. And then the other one was Elon Musk's McLaren F1. I heard he was driving it with Peter Thiel when they crashed.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
And I mean, being Elon Musk, you know, he crashes it and he laughs about it, you know, because now he has all the money in the world. So
nervous laugh.
I don't know. I don't think he really cares that much about it. Like, it must have been like an experience.
When
to drive.
did that happen?
This was, I believe, after they sold PayPal to eBay.
Okay.
So this was like 2000.
So
4,
he
5.
had enough money back then to laugh it off.
Oh, I mean, when they sold PayPal, they basically became billionaires, right?
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk turned it around he invested all that money into Tesla. So, That
So
and
a few
SpaceX.
$1 million McLaren's not chump change.
It is, yeah, it's definitely chump change for him.
Yeah, so I think this Ferrari Enzo, it was only left with 2 wheels, so it's a pretty bad crash. But I think the mechanic's okay. It's definitely pretty shaken.
Well, I don't think he'll be financially okay after this.
It's physically okay.
He's physically okay.
Yeah, airbags worked. That's good.
But they said, like, from a local news outlet, that this crash occurred on a straight road, like an entirely straight road.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen, right? You have like 600 horsepower to the rear wheels, cold tires.
Yeah, and from the videos and photos we see of it, the car was, or the conditions out there were also not ideal. It was a little wet. So, I think this mechanic was launching it,
Probably.
If you had a chance to have, time alone with a Enzo, would you launch it? You wouldn't?
I probably would.
Yeah, same.
But maybe not if it's like, raining and wet and stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I probably couldn't. Same with like the Carrera GT. I couldn't. I don't have that kind of self-control. I would just do it. I would just send it. No half cents.
How about warm up the tires first?
That's fair.
Yeah.
So it's bad conditions. 2, the driver was bad. Bad driver mod.
More mechanic skills than driving skills.
That could be said for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I hope we'll see this Enzo again.
Yeah, odds are we will. But like, would you, if you had 3.3 million, would you spend it on a normal Enzo or like one that's crashed? The value of this is going to drop significantly, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it means that you can get it for
back.
Get it for $1 million, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You probably won't drive it anyway, right? You're gonna keep it in your garage and start it up once in a while.
I think this is like one of the few examples where you can drive it now because it's not perfect.
True, yeah.
Right?
It's got less value.
Exactly.
So maybe it can be your beater Enzo.
Beater Enzo. So ready up $6 million, and then you can have one normal Enzo and one beater one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's I think that's one benefit. Like, for people who are like buying cars that are like in good like low mileage and stuff, and then they just keep it low mileage. I feel like it's a waste, right? It would be better to buy something that's high mileage too. This is like kind of going back to, preserving the car and all that for its value. It's not worth it either for the investment if you're making it as an investment.
Yeah, that's true.
Anywho, that concludes our car news for this week. So for our Grinds My Gears section, we wanted to talk about irresponsible usage of Autopilot. This is our Grind My Gears section because of a court case that has made headlines this week because this man was using Autopilot when his car ran a red light, and then it killed 2 people in oncoming traffic, or parallel traffic, or perpendicular traffic.
So you T-boned them.
T-boned them, yes. Perpendicular fueling.
Yeah, so I think this is the first case where where we see charges filed where someone was using Autopilot, and that's why it's pretty noticeable, especially now that we're seeing more like driver assistance features similar to Autopilot from all different manufacturers. So this might just be the first of, I think we'll see more of these. Odds
are, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I think this is an Autopilot specific problem, right? Like for Chevy's Blue Cruise, wait, no, that's Ford. I think GM is Super Cruise, right? They limited the Autopilot functions, or rather the autonomous driving functions, to highways, and it has to be highways that they have like permitted the Super Cruise to be used on, right?
Yeah.
But for Autopilot, like Tesla's Autopilot, you can use it in any area that the system recognizes as a road, and then that causes issues where you can do it in local areas, and even if you don't have the full self-driving capability, which recognizes traffic lights, you can use Autopilot, and Autopilot does see the traffic lights, but it doesn't react to it because that's not part of the feature set. So, yeah, this is going to be, as you said, probably one of this is the first, but there's probably going to be more cases like this unless Tesla does something to restrict Autopilot functionality.
Yeah, but I think Tesla kind of wants you to do the beta testing on the roads for them. So, do you think the problem is that Tesla is erring on the side of, not on the side of safety, by letting people use Autopilot wherever they want?
Yeah, I think this is this is similar to the case where Autopilot was running into emergency vehicles parked on the side of the road, because I think Tesla as a company, they've given too much autonomy, no pun intended, to the drivers, right? Where, they have the system, it's good for the most part, but there are edge cases where they expect the driver to respond in situations like this. But I think for the most part, we've seen drivers, they really just goof off when they're on Autopilot,
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's hard for you to take over when the car tells you to, because you're not, you might not be paying attention, right? Yeah, it takes you a few seconds just to figure out what's happening around you.
Yeah, there was a MIT study that basically 80-90% drivers on Autopilot, they just goof off. They're not paying attention at all.
Yeah, and I think another issue is that Tesla is, even though they have it in the fine print that you're supposed to be in control of your car at all times, they purposely named the feature Autopilot, and they just put all the safety stuff in the fine print and basically marketed this as your car can drive itself, even though it really can't. So I think we're starting to see some authorities kind of crack down on this marketing, how Tesla is marketing Autopilot, especially in I think Europe, which is a bit more strict with these kind of regulations. So they're trying to push Tesla to kind of be more transparent about what Autopilot is, and maybe they can change the name so people better understand that you have to be in control of your car.
Yeah. So in the case of this incident, do you think the driver is guilty for using Autopilot and then crashing into people?
Yeah, so I think so this Tesla driver here is charged with manslaughter, which based on my understanding, I think it's reasonable. He's still supposed to be in control of his car, and clearly he was not.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely fair that this case was put up against him.
Right.
Yeah.
But the question is, do you think the verdict's going to be guilty?
Well, that's hard to say because this is the first case, right, where we have this driver assistance features involved.
But the thing is, there's also adaptive cruise control and systems like that. And they always tell you, you should do this with driver supervision, and they're not too different from Tesla's Autopilot system, right? So in that case, if I think a driver, if they kill someone using those systems, they should be equally liable for using Autopilot and then hitting someone else.
Yeah, I think that's a good argument.
Yeah.
So you think he should be guilty then?
I think in my opinion, I think he will be sentenced guilty.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't know a lot about this case since there's still a bunch of evidence that we haven't seen. So I think I look forward to following this trial.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
And to close off our grinds my gear section, pay attention to the roads and pay attention when you're using Autopilot. Cool. So is there anything new that's coming up in soonish?
Yeah, so I think we heard that the new Toyota Sequoias come out next week. Next Tuesday, actually.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to because we're going to see instead of the normal V8, Toyota's moving towards a hybrid V6. So should be an interesting release.
Yeah, so I think the current one's been around for what, over a decade and a half.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing because these Toyota trucks, they're the whole point is that they last forever. So
yeah, so
buy a Sequoia when you can if you want the V8.
Yeah, so we saw like the new Tundra lately, the new Land Cruiser, or the Lexus LX600 here. So yeah, I'm glad that Toyota's finally refreshing their full-size SUVs and trucks.
Right. So that pretty much wraps up our episode. Be sure to check us out on our Instagram at TWIC Podcast and our YouTube This Week in Cars and our website thisweekincars.com. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, until next time.